Right, Ebusia mame na wase na memo akwaba mfamra Ashanti Media so other room like video share mo bi fufuro na ono nso enye bi enhwe se unsubscribe to the channel no so other room subscribe and be part of the family say be ya the news update bi announce be kan bi na wenye bi etumi ahwe na enei pressure pa hyase eba mampanyin John Dramani Mahama so ni nyina ne say 7 months nie yenya substantive defense minister since ura omane boama calling krechi na over decisions be so in the defense ministry and answer niama related to security about the presidency the fa private jet who any the keka ho a bibie di adanse say oman no ehia defense minister obetimi aye adwuma na no na major retired Derrick Oduro ono former defense minister odina no ato sansem a ekoso no mu enye ono nko other security analyst na di omanu atumu a omo atop pressure pa di amama mpanyin se animu ya at once by force e wo se otimi appoint obi na otimi bedi dwuma as a defense minister no boa ema oman no bambosem etimi etumpon na ekonkan na yebegibre na yakotie nsem no mu nkyiremu abra na frimpon ziga ene na pamfo edudwa nsem mu na omu biebie nsem so pa enya asem ketu abomodin nsem so obeche wadwen the
sensitivity of a Minister of Defense there is very, 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 very sensitive. If you say a Bambo institution, Minister of Defense, Minister of Interior, and a national security. Bambo on the fapping pan. Defense, in charge of external security. Interior, in charge of home security. Now, two ministries very, very, very important because Bambona can once and I could department we are ministers, and ministries. Now, defense. Our additional responsibility of internal security. Until I say, Galam say, armed robbery, any other, police for NA. Now, internal security, no, say a bus disorder, and answer Basabasabi, Ewo, or Manumua. Demonstration, me, I don't know, press for the handle. Say about say a soldier for a corner, say woman, a coboa woman, still up, proceed for and a command, sir, internal security operations. No, yeah, a friend of that woman, a person woman maintain law and order, and your proceed for you, yeah. Now, quite nimua. Now, say restoration of law and order, that is a law and order, they break it down. Still now, proceed for. Ena in charge na soldier for eboa wo yeah by a just the mona trasa na akoye insurgency na sad wo mu aye atiatua no wo mu use arms and ammunition e ba sa e chenyi command ni chenyi hands e ko soldier for chen I see na principal and so e ba because about arrest ni ade a principal adwuma by basa say almost up to situation in order and we a soldier for internal security no a soldier for per the constitution no a soldier for a can omnia principle now but purely basic responsibility external security say if free outside neighbor and tokwa any economy area a defense and is the responsibility of the defense minister. I would advise the president on defense, external defense issues. And he said, about say, Bibia, Ekokoye, so like said, yes, the bomb, our United Nations, peacekeeping operation, and one more, and Wakoka, I may be more prepared. Is there a responsibility of defense minister to advise the president the current situation now or no take a decision? One of the advice now, do we have to withdraw the troops? Because you say anka ya attack peacekeeping force by say ya attack wo ya redraw ana ya redraw defense minister and about vice president woni aso na so ni nani nyina ne defense minister and is a winni defense minister said they say ye ni defense minister ye dey somebody who is taking charge responsibility say one hour act here na ni parents no le juma do so ye masa wonya hwe preliminary remarks no said they osi busa no defense ministry very very sensitive and it is the president hwem eto ne bo ase eyi di obetimi aye say wo fata ansa na be defense minister said the Ghana yenti ase etie no we obi a obetimi handle sojafo yie said the be ya sojafo enyeku Ghana your perception no said the sojafo ebufu abai na wo mama obi a wo mo sojafo na kuma pe obetimi aye wo ma pe dia ma wo ti wo bas asem ase anya sa wo che wa kunwa no so that is straight sa ansem we America no enye ni pe nyina na betimi aboso sa so because Ghana your perception no hey ma me fa obi a wo ye bibusu ani pa na wa adwene me ho aye say obeye adwuma ni yie say de be ya betimi atwa me 4 years and now 8 years awie finish your perception no but this time that mentality no is not the situation say previous now currently no soldier for ehunu say abantugo ene no enye wo adwuma politics enye wo adwuma governance enye wo adwuma enti no obi o be bia wo ye na adwuma but wo de ma no what they need to perform their duty finish your man said ma wo mo satisfy mo say baby obeda so je ni hia say the equipment o de be ye adwuma o say ni nsaka na so ko na say tua ekura no ntimi nto oni mu ba o de be ye adwuma na say bibi ba e de no wo be ye enti aba no onye aban a o dwene wo mo ho hwe Burkina Faso kwanya o fa so ye ku one of the biggest and I say the one of the reasons are omodi two Burkina Faso aba no soldier for 2 years no and say wo mo security aba no nwene ho
yes
na omodi to Ghana aye ne wo mu nyina operations bom border security ye nyina ye bom no hwe say de Ghana ba sia amo Ghana Armed Forces na won't say Ghana Armed Forces wo mo patrol wo mo ko ni ade na agrophobia akwa attack wo mo say wo ko ambush wo mo prepare say the Burkina Faso soldier for no etua na mo a na terrorist attack wo makunkum nipa be 20 ni ade no ensi wo Ghana eluka ho ena ma wo mo tu Burkina Faso aba no gu ya say soldier ni di aba no so no enti military a very special and sensitive institution say we pay obi a we say we fata a wakuma woni mdie so betimi handle sa ministry
major arawo ye hwa sade we see o there all ka say ne asojafo ahu say aban tu no enyo madwuma especially in this country. I'm not talking about the sub-Sahara region, most of the countries in the top government in enormous. But we have seen about 5 coups in this country. The Kotokani FIFA coup, General Couture champion there, Kufu there, Gerolles Nidia twice, by now Kaboma about 5. But baby I do Siciano. I don't think that it would be very difficult for somebody so sorry in this country. I don't know. But say obi bedru say me yeku or this country no. Ama ku na bebe a famous no. E me say enye ayi papa nipa ahana nipa antum papa. Nipa antum papa. So the question I may be say baby edu sisi an can't we go ahead with the Deputy Defense Minister so that we can save the coffers of this country. Nike are moving on because several months he said yenti assembly bia ye de sa kwa keno nye.
Oh yeah, but you comment now yeah na me say me so be back comment. If you say what dey metuo nto ubenya wo mo e be support wo sesi ya. Ubenya wo mo e be support wo omemu soldier for nyeku civilians politicians ne yeku wɔn na employ soldier for mo yɛ ku na soldier ni no ba ɔno pɛ sɛ ɔno nso ɛtena so bie because ɔno sɛ akonnwa no so ɔdɛ nti na abɛyɛ abɛn sɛ soldier for ɛtena but civilians ɛna induce wɔn but ɛnɛ nti saa ɛnɛ wɔ bi ayɛ enlightened soldier ni bi ayɛ enlightened ɛwuni sɛ ɛnyɛ wɔn responsibility that is why you don't see coups this time.
All right, we have had about 5 coups from Kotoka Ebesi Jerry Rawlings time. And you have 5 coups. So 5 coups they say ebi medium. In this case, President on go ahead to allow the Deputy Minister Rob Roger Jemfi man the ministry and I say you are appointing a substantive minister.
Yeah, I mean appointment of the Deputy Minister. The president asudie and our president minister substantive minister no president now defense minister cabinet minister cabinet ministerial appointment but deputy minister only cabinet ministerial appointment. You are just there to assist the substantive minister. And you know, so only when I ultimate a year, Jumano, a mano, but as you share by regulation, per the constitution, won't mean cassette who take you over as the substantive minister, unless and until say the president appoint you. Well, appoint you what you have no business say. When we are in charge of the ministry, wait me assign very, very sensitive document. No, your document we are not betting me assign. Other administrative idea wait me aye. But she say one minister, but we are deputy minister assisting the minister. Be my gokotra sir ministry or as deputy minister. You want to be who as deputy minister who crown now yeah. Your man responsibility. And you know, maybe anyone minister no ye na won't mean apart from say cabinet meeting and a minister no call. Cabinet meeting no call one more subcommittees and cabinet one more ye. If for any reason now one here say minister no ni ho na deputy minister brabebua because of nimdia wa committee no betimi afro abo akọjoin ni wo but won nye substantive cabinet minister.
Okay,
so na anything.
All right,
anything say okọ minister ni wo say waka okọ de kra achi ana wa yare won timi perform the duty a ye de cabinet ministerial appointment holder bi ele ba be sina 9 ye mfa wo deputy minister no ele be sina 9. No, it is quite different from president or vice president. Vice president, we are president. So president you are when who take charge. So president you are now vice president you are speaker and sign constitution naturally.
I see.
But ministerial appointment there and automatic said hierarchy no governance
yeah.
I don't know. Bia because say o man pani per se what the deputy minister no and substantive minister I just were appointing no said upon Kuruma the any no upon Kuruma was a deputy minister then why you reshuffle or free minister no a free hono ya appointee upon Kuruma as deputy as minister substantive minister and we call vetting and that's an 18 national what me fanning free one. In fact, when General Smith, minister, defense, no one need deputy minister. No one need deputy minister. What can 4 years now we need deputy minister. So I ministerial appointment we need the deputy ministers. And so we to because of. But defense is very, very sensitive. Sir, Ebia now we need her. And so will be a Juan war. You see, who so will be one or share my war. But, sir, obey a substantive minister there. I just see appointed, said, is it information or where upon Kuruma, appointing no, and another appointing no more substantive minister. No coveting. Ya Juatum, sanity, and I won't even sorry, and Cassa, where deputy minister be anywhere. We yet, what me taking substantive ministerial appointment, and I say, you want you are substantive minister anyhow. I just say, we are regional deputy minister, someone now or more, and your direct minister anywhere, or now. But I say, appointment, you know, I'm saying, draw, because of say, almost say, ministerial appointment, you know, you be you know, you need regional deputy ministers. But other ministerial appointment, you know, when you're deputy minister, you are just there to assist the minister. Finished.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So, Jinasuma Mrs. Don't go yet. I have Dr. Sebastian Paulo on the line. So, Doc, for the past 7 months, you've been monitoring the situation. Are you satisfied with the way things are going? Or you think that where we have reached so far, we need a substantive minister?
Thank you so much, and good afternoon to my fellow panelists and listeners. In fact, it is easier to have a minister who doesn't have a deputy than to be a deputy and you don't have a substantive minister around.
Yeah.
The reason is that, as Major Derrick Oduro just indicated, as a minister, you have access to certain corridors of power. Your terms of reference are at a certain level that the deputy minister's level is not up to. So even if Honorable Broja Jemfi, if you look at what he has done so far, so good, it is still not enough for the Ministry of Defense. And part of the reason is that he is now still a deputy under a caretaker minister, in the person of the Minister for Finance, who is already overwhelmed. You know the nature of our economy. He's already overwhelmed with other issues that are quite unrelated to the Ministry of Defense. Now, it is very clear, if you look at what is happening globally, it is very clear the Middle East is a huge threat. Ghanaian what's the name? Our troops were attacked, and what is happening in the Middle East today.
Yeah.
We see what is happening with our borders, West Africa, what happened in Burkina, and all the other threats, including maritime challenges that we have in the Gulf of Guinea and across Africa. We see all the strategies that are required to fight our galamsey internally. We don't really hear much about it. When we had Dr. Omoni Boama being supported by Broja Jemfi, it was very clear that there were so much military defense-related strategies to fighting galamsey. Now, since his unfortunate demise last year, it is very clear that the fight against galamsey, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister is doing his best, but we are not really seeing a strategic military involvement that Omani Boama made us see. So for me, what I see now is that the president may not want to, I see he's using his core members. It doesn't mean the NDC doesn't have people, but he's using his core members now in the lean gap. One of the things that I'm suspecting is that he may want to shift one of his most experienced hands in the next reshuffle to head the Ministry of Defense. Broja Jemfi has done his best, but history would tell us in this country that the Ministry of Defense is mostly headed by very experienced hands, which was seen in Dr. Omani Boama. So if you look at the way Broja Jemfi has handled the unfortunate incident that happened during the recruitment, how he has engaged stakeholders, and you look at his communication, the gentleman is doing his best, but I see the president looking beyond that for perhaps a more experienced hands in his cabinet to head the Ministry of Defense. Now you ask whether we need a substantive defense minister or not. Very true. If you watch the activities of the foreign minister, Okujetu Ablakwa, realize that if there was a substantive defense minister in some of the cases, it was possible that he perhaps could have been assisted even more, particularly with some of the threats that have happened to our citizens outside Ghana. His engagement with security stakeholders in London about Nigeria and America and what happened in Nigeria around Christmas. So what I'm trying to say here is that we certainly need a defense minister. In fact, what that does is that Muntaka then concentrates more on the interior affairs, that is domestic or internal security affairs. He's already overwhelmed with recruitment from fire service up to the immigration service. And this is somebody who has been surrounded by all the controversies, from resentment from party members up to his own colleagues, some of them having issues with how the recruitment process has taken place. Now, he's handling internal party affairs. He's handling the very professional and operational challenges from the recruitment of fire service up to immigration. And this was somebody who was supposed to, again, respond to what happened in Burkina Faso. And so you would see some people think that the minister now he's overstretched. The deputy minister now, because he has seniors obviously in party and in government trying to be the substantive minister, he is not able to operate up to his maximum. So what you see Broja Jemfi do is that this is not the gentleman that we know. He could even do far beyond what you see him do. But the fact that the Minister for Finance is supposed to shadow that, it is difficult for him to operate up to his maximum. So for me, from where I sit, what is happening globally, maritime insecurity, border insecurity, immigration issues, I think that putting all these things together and the fact that you can Yes. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Good. So we should not be complacent that Ghana is perhaps the most one of the most peaceful countries in West Africa. I think the best is to make sure we protect our external security and other internal security threats that the defense ministry would have to handle. That will lessen the burden that the interior minister is currently facing. And for me, an additional benefit is for anybody that could continue the strategic positions that Dr. Omani Buama had. You saw him move to restructure the 37 military hospital. You saw him campaign for what he called the retooling of the military as an architect, as part of the architecture of government. You saw him engage what he came up with the idea of the NIMOS, and you saw all the enthusiasm that came with the NIMOS operations, which also was in support of the natural resources minister. So for me, to continue the legacy of Omani Buama, we must get a substantive minister as soon as possible.
Okay.
Also in cognizance of what is happening globally, the Middle East, other related issues happening around West Africa, and the fact that the Interior Ministry is obviously overwhelmed with controversies that have surrounded our recruitment. I know that the president is perhaps waiting to use one of his most senior members, who is perhaps the cabinet minister right now. That is my calculation of it. The earlier that happens, the better for the stability of Ghana.
All right, but you talked about the current instability in the Middle East, the U.S., Israel and Iran war, that the president is aware of it. We also signed a bilateral agreement with the Burkina Faso that we own their protection and they also own us protection to prevent terrorism, the widespread of terrorism and all that. But recently, we're told that Ibrahim Traore was complaining that Alassane Ouattara want to topple his government. You understand? And judging from the statistics and what I have, the benchmark, the military, the number of the military in Burkina Faso is yet to even hit the benchmark of UN. It means that they don't have sufficient military man to do all these things. So I think that the president is aware of all these things, that Ibrahim Traore somehow will also think about himself and prioritize his security than us and all that. So what do you think might have informed the president it has kept him so long to appoint a defense minister? What do you think? What is he thinking now?
Yeah, so I said, as I said earlier, the president may, he saw the best in Omani Boama, and you would agree with me that he was one of the most strategic appointments that was the president had. So earlier, one would have thought that the president wanted to at least give this fallen hero some kind of respect by not quickly replacing him. But the reality dawns on us, as you have mentioned, in West Africa and in Africa generally. You saw that our recruitment figures were just 5,000. That is internal security I'm talking about, the current one. Which was far less, like 5%, between 4 and 5% of the required figure that we would have needed for the year. Now, what that means is that we need more strategy than human hands. So it simply means that this is the time that West Africa needs more strategy. In fact, we need more of the agreements, such as between Ghana and Burkina, what we saw recently. Now, what must be keeping the president away from appointing a substantive deputy minister? I want to suggest, based on my reading of party activities, there could be some party internal issues that he's facing that may have delayed the process. That is one of it. The second point is that he may have been reading the global terrain, what is happening. You don't just appoint a substantive finance, a defense minister simply because you need somebody to occupy the space. He may be reading the global terrain and he's looking at somebody who could best fit and replace Dr. Omani Boama late in that particular strategic position. The other thing that the president may have not actually considered is the fact that Ghana may be a relatively peaceful place, but I always want to go back to Major Derrick Odoro's point that we cannot be complacent at all. If you travel within West Africa, you realize that we are so fortunate as a country. Almost every West African nation that you travel to, you may have to be more careful than you could be careful as a citizen in Ghana. But as I said,
okay, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so in this case, are we looking for a matured person or somebody who is security inclined, security oriented? Because we've seen Dr. Kwame Adokofo was an artist and became a medical doctor, was able to man the place, and in the Fourth Republic, people tagged me as the best defense minister ever in the Fourth Republic. We've seen Kandapa was a chartered accountant, but is able to do it on and on and on. But I've also seen Dr. Omani Boama, who's also a medical doctor. As you rightly said, that it has become very difficult for the president to replace him. So in this case, are we looking for a mature person, a sound-minded person, strong minds, or somebody who is a security inclined? That's the reason why it has kept the president so long.
So you and I would agree that the current crop of the NDC in government now is full of very solid individuals from many professional backgrounds, and you can see a lot of them do well, from finance ministry up to energy. Now, I I cannot talk for the party and the government, but what I see is that the president may face internal challenges that may weaken his ability to have even proposed somebody longer.
But he's a president. He knows what he wants.
Of course.
And for the
of
country,
course, it doesn't mean.
How come that this one can push him into dilemma? If the president thinks that Dr. Sebastian Palo is the one capable of doing this thing, I have to appoint him rather than listening to some people. Then
yes, I mean, in most cases, the president is a human being, right? He is doing his legacy term. He's doing his legacy, and you expect him to take a lot of decisions that may not necessarily be party decisions. But he also knows that most of the time he has to resonate with the party, particularly that they are also looking at the years ahead. And don't forget, this is African politics.
Yeah.
So for me, I am not saying absolutely that it is the party that is limiting. What I'm trying to say is that he's trying to manage some relationships or some relations that may have cracked along the process of searching for a substantive minister.
Yeah.
And one of the easiest ways to water down the turbulence around that is to just shift one of the most senior hands, who is already a cabinet minister, to defense. But for me, as a youth activist, Roger Jemfi has done his best, even though not a cabinet minister. And I think that the president being somebody who has appointed people with a youth average age into cabinet, it is in fact, the easiest decision is for him to push Roger Jemfi into the defense ministry. You've just talked about the background of most of our defense ministers up to Dominic Nituul and up to These are people who did not necessarily have core security backgrounds. They are just people who mastered the art of human relations, the art of leadership, which involves also political communication to calm tempers, and of course, diplomacy. So for me, if the president looks left and right within the NDC, he can fetch a lot of even more qualified people, with all due respect, into the Ministry of Defense.
Okay.
However, the challenges that the party faces now, I cannot tell. But for me, I think that there is something more internally that the president wants to manage, which in my own prediction may involve either pushing Roger Jemfi in the end to become the substantive minister, or shifting a more senior person from another cabinet section to the Ministry of Defense.
Okay.
Whatever be the case, if you consider the security terrain, you consider what is happening externally and also internally, and all the pressures that we see on the interior minister and the minister for foreign affairs, and even the president himself, in trying to make sense of what is happening around us, and to come up with the best strategies to actually control our territories, our maritime spaces, and of course, even our domestic stability. I think the time is now to get a substance.
All right, yeah. You take your last bite. I'll come back and ask you, who do you think, if you are to, suggest one person within NDC government or any other person outside NDC, who would that person be? Because before the Christmas, we heard that Dr. Zenator Rawlings has been named as defense minister. So the president said that the early this year he will appoint or name a defense minister. But a couple of weeks ago, a newspaper also made a publication that is being given to Gilbert Ajayi, the work and housing minister, who acted as a deputy minister for defense from 2015 to 2016. So that's what I'm saying, that what we said may be true, because talking about the internal conflict, it could be that that's the reason why you are saying that. So I'll come back and ask you, who do you think will fit for the position, or do you want to add something?
I think we can just do it now. Maybe I will nominate you to be the potential to replace. but on a more serious note, as I said, the NDC is not without qualified brains and men and women. Zenator Rawlings, perfect. If you look at her submissions, one of the things I like about her is how she takes decisions around challenges.
Yeah.
The way she talks about every ministry, some of the provisions that should be taken to take care of the welfare needs of people and the progress of any institution. She's a perfect replacement. But don't also forget about Peter Lanchenetubu, who has worked with the UN, who is the current MP for West. He has worked with the UN at various angles. He has engaged across Africa on security matters. This is somebody who also has a very good potential to replace Dr. Omani Boama. Now, you don't also forget of my own MP from Nandom, Dr. Richard Kunire, who has worked so much with the UN as well, just like Peter Lanchenetubu.
Yeah.
I can assure you that the list will continue. Why? Because there are very much more qualified people who can occupy that particular shoe. All we need is to look for three things from the person. You have a very good understanding of the security landscape of Africa and Ghana. And number two, somebody who can read the atmosphere around the Ghana Armed Forces. You read the atmosphere around what they need, what you should talk for them, how to handle their matters. We need somebody with that kind of skill. We again need somebody who would be able to serve as a very good bridge between the Ghana Armed Forces and the citizens as well.
Okay.
Now, if you look within the three people that I have mentioned, all of them possess very good bridging military-citizen relations, security terrain in Africa, security terrain in West Africa, and they also have diplomatic abilities and traits that they can use to help the president, the foreign ministry, and Ghanaians as a whole. So I think the NDC is not without qualified hands. They could do that as soon as possible.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sebastian Paulo, political science lecturer. Jasuma Misisia. Let me go to Ransford Brobe from Imani Africa. So Ransford, you monitor this Fourth Republic. Or your appointment or appointed the finance minister first. The second minister would be defense, because we saw it in President Kufuor's time. No, it was only President Kufuor that took him some time to name his own brother Ado Kufuor as a defense minister, because at a point we heard that nobody wanted to go to the Burma camp since Rawlings had done a coup and the power was shifting from a coup maker to a civilian rule. So it took President Kufuor some time. But if you watch President Mills, President Mahama and Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, they all appointed the finance minister. Then the next minister is the defense minister. So it tells us something that the defense ministry is very crucial. So in this point, I see Becca say Chamana NPP for about 70 people contested election to become a non-person presidential candidate. Mubesa 10 normal ministers. Now, Chama resign. It took President Kufuor some time to replace them. I'm a Kufuor cracker say NPP for men. Almost they have the men, we have the men. They don't have men. But as for the defense there, it did not take him time. Immediately, Dr. Kwame Kufuor resigned. About 3 days later, he appointed Kandapa to fill the vacuum. It tells you how crucial and important the defense ministry is. And as I say, baby, yentimi kokati tidieni bimana. Wa kasa ushe wa analysis man, so your observation. Who say as a defense ministry, and you who to say the first ban you who no bim. Hello, Ransford.
Yeah. Let me first of all pass this to say, yes, we need a substantive minister, right?
Yeah.
But the question that we should also be asking is the caretaker minister not able to perform? Mm-hmm. And as some say, together with the minister, are they underperforming? That is the question that we should be also asking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if they are doing what they are supposed to do, then I think in as much as you're putting pressure on the president to at least double the pace in trying to get us a substantive minister, so that we know that this is the person that is laying between the government and then the defense establishment. We should also just kind of because then you need somebody who is who understands the security landscape, knows what the current demand is. Because if you look at the security issues that are happening around our world and even within the sub-Saharan African region now, it takes someone who can really do the job as well, right?
Fantastic, yeah.
And we can't just say they are not performing. That one, there is no evidence. That's what allude that, right? Yes, and let's just exercise caution in that regard. Okay. Now, back to the question you are asking. For me, I believe the deputy minister is doing really a good job. Now, what I want to pass this through is this, that it is not the Minister for Defense who is going to do all the thinking when it comes to defense or security governance in Ghana, right?
Yeah.
There is the Armed Forces Council. There is the National Security Council.
Yeah.
And it is not say or no agenda krano all the thinking and all the heavy lifting, trying to do solve all the security problems. No. Let's not take it from that side, right? It is a whole council. It is a group of people, probably even the military people that are there in Ukraine. They know more of the landscape than the civilian minister who is coming to head the ministry home. And you have the CDS there, you have the chief of army staff, and then all of these people who are there, who have been on the field. And this is someone who is coming in to listen, to work with these people, and then all of them will devise a strategy to address our security challenges. And it's not someone has background dealing with the United Nations and all of those things. Yes, they count. Yes, the exposure, the understanding, all of them count. But then we need someone who is able to bring all these agencies on board together, brainstorm, and then bring out certain develop strategies that is going to help our security governance and then our security architecture. So build that security architecture that we are talking about. And let's not make it this person is qualified, this person is not qualified. It has to do with what happens in the meeting rooms. You understand?
Yeah.
Yes. Building the security architecture, building what government is looking for, also taking into consideration what the problems in our security establishment is. It's not somebody who can or who has all the big pictures in their head. It may not even work when you go down there, right? Yeah, so we need someone who is open, someone who has that kind of understanding, listening, and all of that to coordinate all of these things. And yes, idea we can decide to even appoint someone right now, and then it's going to be disaster. And then looking at our history, we don't want to go back to those days that, if you're a president, you wouldn't want your Minister of Defense not to be in good terms with the Chief of Defense Staff or the Armed Forces arms, right? And let's just establish caution in that regard.
But Randy, some people also say the disaster that happened to us in Krani because during the military recruitment, if that time the Nike was a substantive minister, that wouldn't have happened. Do you buy that?
No, the question is that would that have prevented it from happening? No, let's ask ourselves. A bit No, it wouldn't prevent that. Yeah. Okay. Yes. But then that was a failure. Okay. Because time and time again, this is what they've been doing. Now, I always say, there's a simple way of going around this. We shouldn't even be doing mass recruitment at this point in time. Per our view, it shouldn't be mass recruitment. At this time, if I want to join the military, I should be able to walk to any office pick up a recruitment form, and then have my you can say my bio, my height, my weight, my everything checked over there, my name there, right? And then probably book an appointment for writing an aptitude test. And then I'll just be there waiting for me to be called. And when I'm called, they can direct me to go to any hospital with a particular physician, do my medicals, and then they will post to me the results of the medicals. And if time so say maybe I buy my clearance, whoever has qualified within that period, maybe 3 months later they can call or make a list, and then we all go and then go for training.
Yeah,
we don't have to wait like every year and then we do recruitment every year. We do recruitment. No, I mean we've gone past that. I mean,
okay.
There are lots of examples out there for us to copy, and if you're not copying, we can devise our own. And I'm certainly sure say mass recruitment is not the way to.
All right. Thank you very much. Ransford Brobe is a research fellow in Imani Africa. Ransford, thank you very much. We're taking our last bite. Let me go to Honorable Derrick Oduro. So, Honorable, dear Biona Betimi Akatre, so Sisi Abenoka say, if Penny John Dramani Mahama have opportunity say advise him or make appointment. Nipa bay na kabetimi suggested Eddie Amane say on your defense minister or number you seen them
You mean see as for that advice the medical can say the appointment of the substantive defense minister is long overdue. Mm-hmm. Long overdue. One man advice when it comes to defense ministry, the ACA Dika can say the AC or Lebanon. Emma Israel for 2 year bomb land here. Headquarters of UNIFIL, Ghana Battalion, headquarters one. Defense minister, and as a president, Fibo no can say no was a year, say no was a year, say no was a year. Or Luna, first and foremost, what advice say, even what may come be foreign affairs minister, na foreign affairs minister, who lodge protest via what me lodge. As a security background, who protest no. Yes, I go camp, Brofatin Tibia, press trigger Magana. But say, unim defense cooperation agreement here, any other countries near the war. Into Asana baby Biano, no one who say no was a defense minister and the betime ama futu papa. So, and and this minister more chocho ropa or betime aye now or more point to be, but your war or security inclined. What been no Susiano. It is a teacher ni what training college. Why we degrees are and so teaching techniques in Panwa, because you are practically untim Juma. That people teacher be etime chadia pa a chain will be our training college. Aye. Etino say wo wouldn't the flair to handle soldiers, me this soldier. Soldier na me di and yes, I started Yanam Koye officer. What's another rank? I was a recruit. And I'm a passer by a private soldier. Private soldier, by a last corporal, sergeant. And son of penny phone will say yes. They have to recommend me to go to military academy. And I'm a Koye. And that those days, I was being commanded. No, I was being commanded. But now, maybe a commander, I may command the troops. And to be free and Quademu. And I'm go through a penny. So, and a drew baby now, we shed now so who said, situation, a drew said, was said, we will be a dear was so of fatter, who shall me I get, and you say, and this and this minimum munina, intimate me recommended, but the minimum one say, project and fee, or you will be a why deputy defense minister. Now, I'm Omani Dr. Omani Boa, now project and fee, and then and never be a near our sign. Say, oh, one conquer, yeah. And you went When near soldier for no Ashia bomb, I would say, dear soldier for no pet. That man, I'm here deputy defense minister. No, now Crawford or Grand Person by Minister and Kenya. No more family so because I was there with them in the barracks.
Yeah.
Soldier. And to women, some of them were my mates, some of them were my juniors. Woman himself, soldier, you man say, pa. Sabi, the minister, no, yes, or no, or security minded, but now experience me what. Some are soldier. Some me makoya MP. Some makoya nyama bebre no. Nebi ana onisa ayinubi. Entina most of ayin no kra no. Nebi I say no deputy. Kwana koye we. So enti gisa wo mu emu ansa na wahu. Enya obi a wo security.
In fact, yeah, it is true that you don't know much about the NDC, especially the personalities. You will be a free some qualified to be the defense minister. But as for the Broja Jamfide, and I'm sorry, deputy minister, you know, you TV so now okay, the press conferences, the social media, and they are 1 more than 10 of Jumanimo. So you think that Broja Jamfide can fill the vacuum? It can be, elevated to become a substantive minister, right?
Pierre, baby, so we are deputy minister, and I say sub commander bia. You feel say we are inferior, but let them give you the appointment. Now when your confidence be say,
okay.
So the legend fear will be a me cry recommend this president money di wa appointing no betimi aye adwuma no obenya trust and confidence president will trust won mu and the legend fi no obenya self confidence bi amotimi akwakoye adwuma because adwuma will feel the order that.
Okay.
They are not better acting. We are overwhelmed with finance issues. Onyakwa just said the Ibo commando. Or sign document to be crowd on Tiasia. So, Chief Director, the Ibo commando on Tiasia, project and fee, our ministry or anyone named the Air Coast War. And to a liberty me, I will recommend project and fee himself. A Jumana warrior, no, me, Juma, me sitting or fire. And even himself will bet me, the president, our point. I just my strongest recommendation. Say, obeti appointing one converting, no mayor minister, or pa, one new deputy minister, one pa, one ma a project and fee, and yet Roberti Jumano that was seasoned officers in the military.
Yeah.
The chief of army staff, chief of naval staff, chief of air staff, any CDS.
Okay.
There was senior officer, one more ministers were up.
Okay.
I will make me advise a minister. I will make me a Jumano.
Jumano.
And the political head.
Thank you very much.